Once upon a time, I was engaged to a woman with a son that was 16 at the time. I have two daughters that were 9 and 6 then. Her and her son moved into my house. My daughters have routine established. They had chores, expected levels of cleanliness, responsibility, rules, consequences for not following rules, etc. They were honor roll students. I'm proud of them and appreciative of their efforts given their age. After the move-in, the son proved to be a completely irresponsible, messy, dirty slob of a kid. Unless specifically told to do so, he would only shower once a week or so. His room was an utter mess, not just cluttered, but flat-out filthy. Potting soil scattered on the carpet, trash on the floor, stuff his dog chewed to shreds that was never picked up. And the smell, it was like there was a dead body in the room. It permeated to the entire floor of the house. If you've ever seen the TV show Hoarders, it was like that. Possibly worse. Beyond his own room, he never cleaned any mess he made in any other part of the house. I remember one time he was constipated and left a used enema on the bathroom floor. I could go on and on. I often talked with his mom about this, how it was outright disgusting and unacceptable. How could I possibly ask my daughters to clean their rooms and enforce consequences when his was allowed to look that way? It was completely asinine. Her response was that he has depression and other issues, and she didn't want to push him too hard. He had been previously suicidal, had cut himself, was even committed to an outpatient center for a couple weeks at one point, diagnosed as having borderline personality disorder. He was being homeschooled because, I'm told, he was bullied excessively in regular schools. As a result, he was at the house 24 hours a day, in his room with the door closed, generally only coming out to eat or use the bathroom. He had no friends that he saw on a regular basis. Her experience was that if she pushed him, he would snap again. Okay, there's issues. Let's resolve them. But in the meantime, you are enabling this dysfunctional behavior, and that must change. Here was someone less than 2 years away from adulthood, and he had absolutely no sense of responsibility. He was always skirting the line of failing at school unless constantly micromanaged. I was frightened for him and his future. For the record, he did start going to therapy again. I was the one who drove him to and from each appointment because Mom didn't have the time. After much bickering and gaslighting, it was agreed that he was to have nightly room checks, and if it didn't pass, he was grounded until the next one. That didn't even last 1 week, as I saw the crazy messes that she was passing as okay. He was never grounded for his room, grades, anything. His smartphone paid for by his mom? Always present no matter what. It was clear this kid was never instilled with a sense of responsibility or never faced a meaningful consequence in his life. It was so bad and her gaslighting so extreme that I actually took pictures of his room and sent them to friends and family to ask if I was being crazy. The final straw came when the mom and I planned a vacation for a week. My daughters were with their mother, and he begged to be trusted to be left home alone. He supposedly got extreme motion sickness, an excuse to be isolated IMHO, and didn't want to go. Against my better judgment, I agreed. His mom called every day to check in, remind him to do things like take out garbage for weekly pickup on that specific day, etc. When we came back, it was painfully clear he did nothing but eat, sh*t, and sleep all week. Every room was a disaster. Several dishwasher loads worth of dishes piled in the sink with fruit flies overhead. More scattered throughout the house. Kitchen filthy. His dog had torn apart several stuffed toys, with chunks in nearly every room. The garbage was not taken to the curb, the kitchen garbage can was overflowing. Everything that could possibly be messy was messy. I could not point out a single thing he actually did do. I talked to his mom and told her, as usual, that this is not okay and there needs to be consequences. I was angry and decided to leave and go on a long bike ride to calm myself down. When I returned hours later, the house looked exactly the same, with the only exception being the mom was washing the dishes. I asked why she was doing it instead of him. She said because he's going out with some friends soon and is getting ready. Are you freaking kidding me? I'm a very calm person, but I lost it. I'm human, I yelled. It was about all the usuals, messes, no responsibility, no consequences. You're enabling him, he's less than 2 years away from being an adult, you're not helping him, it's hurting, you need to turn this around. He overhears this, and runs downstairs pissed off. He puffs up his chest, gets an inch or two from my face, and starts screaming. "You're not my dad. I don't have to listen to you." Then finally, "I will King kill you." Before he turns around and storms back up to his room. What did the mom do? Stood there and did nothing, as if this is within the realm of normal child behavior in her life. I walked outside and called 911. A person with history of violent tendencies and mental illness, including involuntary inpatient treatment, threatened my life. The police came and ultimately did nothing. After talking with us individually, they said it was considered a conditional threat. Apparently, the son claimed he thought I was going to hit his mom, and told them he would kill me if I touched her. So, here is a teenage kid that perfectly fits the profile of a school shooter. I told the police this, and absolutely nothing can be done. I wanted them both out of my house ASAP for my safety. They claimed they had nowhere to go, no family or friends they could stay with. Ultimately, I left and spent the night at a friend's house after taking a video of the house and my possessions in case he vandalized anything. The next morning, I handed them a formal notice to evict. Where I live, you have to hand a tenant paperwork voluntarily requesting that they leave within 3 days before you go through the formal court eviction process. On the form, I stated safety concerns for myself and my daughters due to the son's threats and mental state. Amazingly, they did completely move out within the 3 days. I stayed at my friend's house until they left, 2 of the nights with my daughters. To add insult to injury, a few days later I found out via acquaintances of hers that she bought her first gun and posted all about it on Facebook. For personal protection, of course. I never hated her son, but I am frightened for his future. From what I saw, his habits and attitude would have prevented him from even keeping a steady job and place of his own, let alone a career or further education. All because his mother was too afraid to be an adult and actually parent him. Afraid to render consequences. Afraid to even spend much time with him, worried she would say the wrong thing and set him off. To this day I still wonder if he's okay and hope that things took a life-changing twist.